Oh, welcome back to Bullish on Business. I'm your host today, Brayton Farr, and we're flipping the script today. Normally, Rose Odette is the one asking all the questions. She's interviewed more than 100 entrepreneurs, innovators, and executives. She built one of the first large scale electronic medical records companies and scaled it to over $100 million in revenue. Pretty amazing. And she's the author of Charge Like a Bull, Bullish in Execution, and her newest leadership book, Lead Like a Lioness. So today she's in the seat. So we're going to mix it up and ask her some questions. So we're going to talk about relentless growth, execution without excuses, transformational leadership, and what it really takes to build companies that last. So Rose, welcome to your own show.
Thank you very much, Brayton. What a great idea.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm glad. It'll be cool to learn more about you and let your audience know who you are. So, first, I want to ask the medical records company. So, you've built that before digital health was even mainstream and then scaled it to over $100 million. So, what did you see before everybody else saw it?
Well, I don't know that I saw something really magical, Brayden. When you're in the trenches and you're working with doctors and nurses and day in, day out, I was working with them on their mainframe computers and I was listening really carefully to their problems. And at the same time, I was keeping an eye on what was happening on the tech front, seeing what was new from the advanced technologies. And I could see that there was some solutions that could be brought to the table. And the clinicians were just overwhelmed with paper systems, and it was really slowing things down, and people's lives were being lost due to the fact
Hmm.
that they just couldn't get the proper information out of the
Wow.
systems. They were spending millions of dollars on systems like laboratory systems, radiology systems that were not connected, and data was completely fragmented. And so
Hmm.
I think it was more like proximity to the pain. They were in pain, and I was very up close and personal. I really love, I hate being in the office. I love being in the trenches with the clients. And I believe technology really had a place to reduce that friction and really help the patients and the doctors who are there. They're not techies. They really want to help people. And so I didn't really even know that it was an opportunity. It was really a
Hmm.
challenge getting doctors to use computers in the 90s and
Oh, I
the
bet.
early 2000s. I mean, they hated it. They're like, I'm not the secretary, and believe it or not, I was told that many times, but it was so inefficient. But the lucky
Hmm.
thing is that internet was coming around and the doctors were booking their vacations online. They were looking at their children's grades online.
Oh,
And
sure.
so they were starting to get comfortable with the browser technology. And so then we leverage that um, trend. And so we leapfrog client server. We went right to a browser-based interface, which,
Oh,
believe it
wow.
or not, was unique at that time.
Yeah.
That really helped us with the training, and we kind of
Hmm.
leapfrogged over some of the learning curve. You used to hear user friendly.
Hmm.
We were able to really leverage the AI, or excuse me, the browser user interface, so that training wasn't that big of a deal.
Oh, I bet it was easier to implement that way too.
It was. And then
Yeah.
another thing that happened simultaneously is this law for HIPAA. HIPAA came out, the Health
Mm.
Insurance
Hmm.
Portability and Accountability Act, that Security Act
Yes.
that we all talk about now.
Yeah.
Well, that was brand new. And the hospital, so I was working with the clinicians, but at the same time, I was working with the administrators, and they were dealing with how are we going to protect all this medical information. And so again, you know, information systems and security and encryption was
Hmm.
coming out. And so we were able to really solve the HIPAA problem because our system was really good at, if you have let's say, there are laws against allowing people to see substance abuse, mental health, HIV. There's a lot of
Hmm.
privacy regarding, like, you could, like, a patient may come in for a broken arm, but they also may have something that's very restrictive. And so we had to
Yeah.
put in the rigor of the security of this type of episode, but not that, or this type of report, because even having an HIV report back in those days was sort of an indicator that you might be prone to that disease. And so,
Mm,
oh my goodness, we had to put so
wow.
many locks and keys, and we did. We really, we had IBM as our big partner, and they still do have business partner programs that allow you to help build on their technology. So we
Hmm.
brought the industry expertise to the table, where they brought all the latest and greatest tech, the tech to the
Yeah.
table. And so it was really, and then I love England. And so we moved to England for 10
Oh.
years and we deployed it over there. And I got to,
Oh. See, I
um,
learned something new.
yeah, I got to live in little cottages. I never really
Oh, cool.
stayed in hotels. I sat right next to the NHS, which is the National Health System. And the thing about traveling in Europe, it's almost like going to Disneyland if you're not working there. You stand in line at the Eiffel Tower, you stand in line at Big Ben. It's almost like going from ride to ride, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you're working with them, and especially in the NHS, which is the one of the largest and oldest healthcare institutions in the world, that came about after World War II, and it's
Hmm.
all for free for
Oh, wow.
foreigners and for the people that live in England. And so anyway, it was a wild ride, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed every minute of it.
Wow. Huh. I didn't know that's where you deployed it. That's
I
amazing.
did. I did it 200 hospitals in the United States and several
Wow.
in England. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's still installed in a few hospitals
Oh,
to
cool.
this very day.
Yeah. Well, 200 hospitals will get you to 100 million pretty quick. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That's awesome. Wow, that's a huge rollout. So then your life took a dramatic turn. So walk us through the comeback. What broke you? What rebuilt you? How did the experience reshape you? What
Oh,
happened?
sure. Well, after I decided that I was going to take this technology and go cross industry, because at everyone care. I mean, healthcare is very sensitive to security, very
Mhm.
sensitive to access. So we were giving doctors access anytime, anywhere, any place, secured, blah, blah, blah. Well, who doesn't need that? I mean, that's something that was cross. So we decided to take it cross industry, and I moved the company to Florida and was
Oh,
working with the government there. And
oh,
I was unjustly accused of a crime, went to prison for
oh,
2 years,
oh no.
and then went to and so I was a caged lioness,
Hmm.
if you will. And so when I was able to, and I had 7 judges recuse themselves, and it was a total
Whoa.
political nightmare. But just
Ooh.
like in Mel Robbins' book, Let Them, I don't know if you know about that latest
Yeah.
book she wrote. I feel the same way. It's like, but my saying is, if people don't believe me, that's okay, because I know the truth. And I always
Yeah.
say, and go back to my sales roots, where I go, you ever hear this saying about sales? Some do, some don't, so what?
Hmm.
So I just had to push on. But the good news is my daughter Caitlin was so impacted, and my whole family was, you can imagine, by
Yeah.
this nightmare, that she decided to go to law school and not allow for, and like trying to stop all this corruption in the judicial system. And so, there's always a silver lining.
Yeah. Wow. That is a heck of a comeback. And yeah, you kept going. That is
Yeah, you
amazing.
got to. Can't
Yeah.
stop, won't stop, like Taylor Swift says, right?
Yeah. Very true. So use the word relentless instead of exponential when you talk about growth and kind of your comeback, relentless and leading like a lioness. What does that distinction matter to founders? How is that
Well,
impactful?
I think I love the word exponential too, but it's a little bit overused these days. because we are seeing so much exponential growth, almost without even trying, because there's so much going on in the world. But what is still required, even in the world of exponential, accelerating returns and all the things that we're experiencing, you still have the human spirit. And the human spirit is where I find that term relentless. And if you have a strong character, you're strong in your values and your mission and your character, then being relentless is very positive. As long as it can be negative if you have like
Sure.
not so good values, not such a good character. I mean, but
Mhm.
for me, looking at some of my mission, I really can't, like I said, can't stop, won't stop. And that's why I put relentless. I think that comes, I use it actually in the title of my first book, which is Charge Like a Bull, the 7 strategies for relentless business growth.
Mhm.
And I toyed with the word exponential, and I just
Huh.
thought, no, we want to really more go into the person's psyche and spirit of being relentless.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. That's amazing as well. So your second book, Lead Like a Lioness, you introduced the Pride community. Transformational vision meets relentless results. How did your comeback redefine how you think about building strong prides instead of the lone wolf culture? Because you could
Oh,
totally have done it on your own, but you're building a community.
right, right. Well, I'm a people person and I really love people. I love people. I love basically I also love animals. That's why all my books have a little bit of either a bull or a lion or
Mhm.
something like that. I think I'm gonna do an eagle
Oh
in some
yeah.
one. But but people, I love people and but let's talk about lionesses. So
Mhm.
when you think about a lioness, and think back on those silly YouTube videos or Facebooks or what you know about a lioness. They're laying around and they're looking over their babies, their pride, their children. Their husbands or their mates are not too far away, but they're always on that lookout. And
Mhm.
if they're very guarded, they take care of their pride, they hunt, they keep discipline, they have strategy, they work in groups, they have a group think tank. I just
Yeah.
think all the metaphors around lionesses, I just resonate with. And so I took that and I took 7 archetypes of women, and that's what the book Lead Like a Lioness, 7 archetypes,
Hmm.
100 challenges and One Lioness Legacy. That's the full
Huh.
title of that book. And so I take all the 7 archetypes. I won't bore you with them all here, but they'll be in the show notes. But and then I define those, and in the communities that I'm setting up online, we'll put those in on the show notes too. And you might want to know what your archetype is. And believe it or not, Brayden, I have a LinkedIn newsletter group called Lead Like a Lioness, and more than half
Hmm.
the subscribers are men.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah,
Look at
and
that.
so everything
Hmm.
I do for, I may use the lioness metaphor because of
Sure.
all of her wonderful characteristics, but this doesn't apply just to women. So
Mhm.
let's say it's so that I help online define, like what's your driving force
Mhm.
archetype. But we all have access to all the archetypes. And so in the 100 challenges, I broke it down into 10 different categories, like getting venture capital
Oh,
or looking for, you might get biased. Marginalization doesn't just happen to women. I mean, you
yeah.
can be marginalized because, you're a Poindexter guy, you're a geek, you're not a jock. There's all sorts of ways
Yeah.
people are marginalized. So how do you deal? And the book and all the community and the things that I'm creating online are in the online courses we're creating are about how do I really, oh my gosh, because you ever get in an argument or you get in a situation where you get gobsmacked, you don't know what to say. Later, you're
Mhm.
like, oh, I wish I'd have thought of said
The
that. I
light
wish
bulb goes off and you're like,
why didn't I
ah,
say that?
yeah. Yep.
Well, in the book,
Uh,
you can check it out. You can say, okay, if I have, like, you never want to do that again. So you can look it up. Okay, I bombed my pitch in front of these venture
mhm.
capitalists. What should have I done differently? And you can look up, okay. And it has all sorts of like 100 challenges, very, very succinct. It's not drawn out, but um,
Yeah,
I hope that explains it. I get
that does.
going. I just thank you for the
Yeah.
question. You hit my passions point there.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, if you're listening, be sure to subscribe to the newsletter, men and women. Learn that. I'm going to sign up. I get your other one, but I don't get that one. Now I'm going to check it out. So you're also now developing something called Built to Charge. What is it? How is it different from traditional business growth models? Built to
Well,
Charge.
thank you. Thank you for asking. So I see business as there's probably a lot of different categories, but I'm cutting it into sort of three different categories. My first book was based on my experience, and that was scaling to 100 million. It's not a startup book. So Charge Like a Bull is more about how do I scale a business I already have.
Hmm.
But and then I have Bullish on Execution, which is the cadence of running a business day in and day out and keeping that momentum going, even when you have those days that you just want to stay in bed, but you have to have the cadence to keep pushing. And
Hmm.
that's what Bullish on Execution is, that cadence book. But I haven't, what I'm doing now is I'm creating a startup book. It's called Built to Charge.
Oh.
And the unique thing about this book, it isn't for the faint of heart. And you and I go to Oops.
Yeah.
And I love Oops and I love everybody, I love people. But
Yeah.
a lot of folks go there and I embrace them, but they say things like, I just moved here from California and I just want to give back to the world. I'm really not in it for the money. I just want to be a do-gooder, which I'm sorry, this book is not for you.
Yeah.
This is not your
Yeah.
book.
You're building a business. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing with this book, it's the startup book for people who from day one declare this business is going to grow. And so just like when I started my business, I was asked like back in 93, what kind of business do you want? Do you want an S corp? Do you want an
Mm-hmm.
LC? Or do you want
Yep.
a full corporation? I had two people and I said, I want to be a full C corporation.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
that is mindset. And so it
Yeah.
built to charge. It's all my books have frameworks. And so the first framework component is your mindset that you think big and that you want to go big. The second one is, and this is going to make a lot of startup people like cringe, but I'm putting it in there because if you want to grow, you have to work in the area of compliance. What happens to a lot of companies when they decide to go into business and they're all passionate about their new widget or their new whatever it is, and they should be, but they
Mhm.
don't want to be dragged into the compliance world, like get ready
Yeah.
for audits or make sure your
Yeah.
CPA is happy or make sure your
Get your
lawyer's happy.
P&L together. Yeah.
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 And if they don't cross those T's and I's early on,
Yep.
you're gonna fail to scale. You can't scale if you
Yeah.
don't build compliance in at the beginning. And what startup class have you ever gone to where they talk about compliance? Nobody.
Not many.
No,
No.
I mean they say, yeah, go talk to a lawyer
Yeah.
so you don't get sued. Go
Yeah.
talk to a CPA so you pay your taxes.
Yeah.
No,
But that doesn't help. Yeah.
no, you want to use this for risk mitigation. And so this book is really designed to not take away from, you got to have a business plan, you've got to have your mission statement, and we'll go into some of that, but it's going to be more about how do I structure this company from day one that I'm going to scale? Because if you're going to scale and you're going to grow, those big clients that are going to pay you top dollar and give you opportunity to be involved in those large deals will look and see, are you are you kind of a jack of all trade or a tinkerer, Or they'll ask you, and I've been there, they'll ask you, show
Mm,
me your compliance, show me your auditability, show me, whatever. And if
yeah.
you can't show that work that you've done to be in compliant with whatever is in your industry, they're all different,
Mhm.
Sarbanes-Oxley, if you plan that way, or every industry has their own like trade audit
Mhm.
rules. And so, and I'll dive into 5 industries: manufacturing, distribution, healthcare, and of course, tech, and then retail. So I
Mhm.
do a little bit of dabble into those different areas. So that's what's going to really differentiate that book, and
Mhm.
built to charge.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like a challenge, so that's gonna make everybody think differently. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're also creating or already created Bullish on Business Executive System. So, which you designed to compete with business consultants. And where do you believe they fall short? And what structural advantages does your system provide? What makes it different?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. And so this is my next huge project. What I'm doing is it's not an app. It's a system. Just like my electronic
Hmm.
medical record was a
Oh,
full-blown
yeah.
system that met every department in the hospital, like every department in the hospital and the clinics needed to use the electronic medical record. So similarly, I'm creating this Bullish on Business, which is, think of uh Trello on steroids. Think of
Interesting.
okay, so my books all have frameworks. Like
Hmm.
there's a framework in Built to Charge. And there is a framework in Bullish on Execution. There's a framework in Charge Like a Bull. So I'm taking those frameworks, but I'm systematizing them. Let me tell you why. There are So people like baby boomers like me who sit in the executive suite of most of corporate America are sunsetting and moving on and retiring or whatever. And guess who's taking their seat? People like you, Brayton. They're coming in and they need systems. There is no executive information system to help them do their strategy, except like they have to create something in Trello or Notion or whatever.
Sure.
But what this system is going to do, it's going to take the frameworks from the Bullish line and systematize them. Let me give you one
Mm,
example. One of my number one strategies in all of the books is that you need to have affiliates or strategic partners. Like
mhm.
I consider you a strategic partner. Like I give
Absolutely.
you leads for
Yeah.
Squarespace, and you do the same for me when somebody could leverage
Hmm.
some of the work I do, my books or whatever. So you're a strategic partner. Back in the day when I was growing my business, my strategic partners were IBM, HP, CSC, large consulting firms, or even regional IT people, like a local IT person
Hmm.
who had a relationship with a hospital. I would cozy up and we'd say, okay, I'm going to pay you 30%. You give me 20%, whatever. We come up with some revenue share, win-win. Everybody wins because
Yeah.
we're the independent software vendor. They're the local technical people that know the roar on the floor and whatever. Well, let's take that example. So that is a strategy. That's a key strategy in Charge Like a Bull, is to have strategic alliances. And so um as an executive in the corner office, you need to know that, and you want
Hmm.
where is that information right now?
Not out there.
No
Yeah.
book, no place. That's just
No.
one example. Now,
Wow.
with the tools that I've been leveraging, like in Go High Level, or CC 360, which are a couple of tools that I'm working with,
Mm.
they have an affiliate module, but it's more about
Mm.
how many widgets did they help me sell? Did they get, and it pays them their commission.
Oh,
So
sure.
what I'm going to do and what I'm doing is I'm taking this big picture vision of strategic alliances, but then drill down, drill down to say, okay, so this particular IBM relationship or whatever example, what is it really doing to my bottom line? How much
Hmm.
revenue am I getting? How much am I contributing to them?
Yeah.
And then and back and forth. And so that gives an executive a very important analytical view on that
Hmm.
relationship. Before this, they'd go on the golf course, they'd go to lunch, they'd maybe meet
Yeah.
at a trade show, and then it'd be like, hey, what deal are we working on? And
Yeah. You
do
run
you
into
need
each
me
other
to
here
do?
and there, but
Yeah.
yeah, you don't really quantify that relationship. So
Yeah, but
interesting.
it's not, and that's just
Yeah.
one example
Mm.
of it. Because when I look at the different things, we're going to look at the market you've decided to segment. Is it really
Mhm.
as lucrative as you think? So possibly, you may be interested in working in distribution and but with some more market information, you might be able to leverage your technology in retail. And who knew that? So we're going to give market
Mm.
segmentation, and then your value proposition will be rigor. We'll look at the rigor of your actual products in your market. We'll look at your strategic ability to leverage your team. So I always believe that there needs to be an inside outside leader in any company. So somebody who sort of the outside cheerleader, but then
Mhm.
another person that's the inside champion for the employees and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be an overnight success.
Yeah.
It's going to be a full-blown system. And
Mhm.
why I think it'll be better, I'm not saying that consultants don't have a place. Um, but I don't see the consultants really I want this to be a tool for the consultants. So
Oh, sure.
if I'm a consultant and I'm going in to, coach an executive team on market share or how to grow your business, uh, they'll say they may bring in spreadsheets, they may bring in Notion, they may bring in this or that, but they can bring in Bullish on Business and really leave the client with something that's really, built to stick there, and that
Yeah.
they can actually, because they're used to it. Can you imagine walking in and not having a tool for an executive? They have no
Yeah.
tools.
Yeah. Nothing. Well, and the AI and Notion and the different platforms are great, but you have to build the system. They don't come with the system. And so
Right.
your book's gonna very well help with that and
Yeah.
the whole system you're building. That's amazing.
And I am
Yeah.
looking for partners to help me out with that. I'm at the ground level. I see this as I've done the projection. If I do this right, it could be 60 million a year. I know right now EOS, just through consultants alone, does 200 million a year.
Mhm.
So that's there. I mean, conservatively, but I have to do it right.
Yeah.
And I can't do it alone. So I am out there in the world if you guys are interested in rolling up your sleeves and working on that,
Yeah.
DM
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Send Rose a message. Let's all help her out and let's help her build the system. So you also mentioned bullish on execution, your book there, and you focus heavily on cadence and what's broken in most executive teams' weekly and quarterly rhythms. So when you're building that system, what are you seeing that's broken?
Well, it goes back to the old-fashioned dashboard, but we need to modernize it. So
Yeah.
instead of going to, what happens is you go to these meetings, and usually the loudest and the squeakiest problem is what's discussed. And you lose the cadence of, okay, so how's profit? How's cash flow? How's sales? How's the pipeline? The basics. How's HR? How's our, are we HIPAA compliant with all of our whatever? It's the cadence, and these meetings and this cadence doesn't have to consume your whole life. If you put the rigor and the structure around it, you can what I used to do is Monday was sales, Tuesday was
Mm,
professional services, Wednesday was development, only 1 hour for each of these segments.
sure.
Thursday was marketing, Friday was finance, and then like every once a month, I would do a deeper dive on facilities and IT, do a little bit of a deeper dive on HR and structural organization and
Mhm.
that type of thing. So it's it's just execution.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a fun strategy session. It's how do you,
Yeah.
but it gives you a chance to touch base with your team too, and they get to
Mhm.
talk about it. It gives the people with a quiet voice a a place to talk about what they've been doing and their own
Yeah.
metrics. So I
Yeah.
think that it's not a it's not one of those flashy ones, but it's so
Yeah.
needed.
Super important. And it keeps a pulse on the different facets of the industry or the company or all of the above. And that's super important, where a lot of companies and just especially the executives lose sight of that and they look at one piece or one growth metric and zone in on that and that's it.
Yeah,
And they miss all the other parts or the quiet voice that's doing a lot of work in the background that maybe something needs to change or maybe something's going really well they're not even noticing. So
exactly.
yeah, very cool. So this next question I have for you, I'm pretty excited about, and this is news to me. So you're not just building content anymore. You've got your newsletter, you've got your websites, you've got your books, but you're building an AI infrastructure, Rosebot. So what's that? And an acquisition strategy under Awake Technologies, but what's the structural blueprint for the next empire of Rosebot?
So
Yeah, what's
Rosemont
that?
is basically it goes back to, and that was that's like a code name. That's not what it's going to be called,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's just a code name, and it's the underlying architecture of
Mm.
built bullish on business.
Oh,
You know, if we don't incorporate, like right now, what a great chance while I'm doing this in ground up to incorporate that large language model. And,
hmm
you know, a lot of the things I'm discussing and built to Bullish on Business are really leans into, if you will, agentic AI,
hmm
because a lot of it is ideation in the executive office. We're doing a
Okay.
lot of thinking, but we don't want it to fly out the window, right? We want to capture those ideas, and that's what we're doing. We're capturing them with a bot behind the scenes and building your own personal, you know, Acme Corporation, if you will, large language model for
Yeah.
that. So because it's the survival of I was working today on a return on investment. IBM just came out with a beautiful white paper on, it's called Agentic AI, the return on investment. And
Mm.
so, and I was playing around with the return on investment just with one niche, and that was a release of information. So, like if you're a doctor, if you have you're a hospital and an attorney is coming to you and asking you
hmm
for a medical record for a case they're working on, it's like 30 people have to be involved. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But agentic AI applied to that use case can save like $250,000 for a small house. You know, it's
Wow.
amazing how much
That's a
agentic
lot.
AI,
Yeah.
they can just do that one job. So what
Wow.
that means, Brayden, is that at the ground level, the system I'm creating is going to have the large language model with the guardrails. That's really
hmm
critical, so that we've got the security and the compliance built in. Um, so that's really, but I think it's so critical because uh, we need to do both. We need to
Yeah.
incorporate AI and solve all those problems
Yeah.
for the executive office.
Yeah. I'm excited. That'll be really amazing. And the cost savings and just the benefits and the efficiencies you're building into that. So awesome. So if you're
Oh, I see what you mean. So this is a dream. This is a dream I've had for a very, very long time. So back in 2015, I met a coach named Dan Penna, and he is a mergers and acquisition expert, and he believes in growth through acquisition. And so I drank the Kool-Aid, and I totally believe in growth through acquisition. And so I someday would like to incorporate an acquisition strategy because, like I said, I can't do it alone. And
Mhm.
so with the acquisition strategy, the way Dan teaches, it's called the QLA, Quantum Leap Advantage, is what he
Mhm.
teaches. And he has high-end coaching seminar in Scotland about twice a year now. He's getting older. He's called, if you want to look him up, he's the $1 trillion man
Oh.
online. He's very rude and very vulgar. So I'm going to just warn
warn
you that
warn everybody on that one.
yeah,
Interesting.
he's
Oh.
abrasive. He's
Mm.
ex-military,
Yeah.
but hey, I've been around. I wear my bulletproof vest everywhere
Yeah.
I go, right? And
Oh.
so I can take it because he really has a good heart. He's not a teddy bear. I'm not gonna pretend that. But he's smart and he teaches how do you actually acquire businesses. And his method is really surround yourself with very influential board of directors. And then with that, you keep them on the board and then you just dial for dollars to all the different places that there's a lot of money out there and
Yeah.
people want to invest in good ideas. And so he teaches how to do that. So
Hmm.
that's something that isn't going to happen tomorrow.
Sure.
But it's a dream I have, and I'd love to see that come true someday. I'm not going to lose that dream, but
Yeah.
it's out there.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you mentioned it's not going to happen tomorrow. So for founders listening and who want to build not just revenue, but a legacy system that outlives them, what must they implement immediately? So what is something that needs to be done right now, tomorrow,
Well, I've
today?
done over 100 podcasts. And I've met a lot of people and I love them all. And I fall in love with my guests. I fall in love with every guest I've had. I just love their vision. I can't shake it. Like when I see them, I'm like, how did it go? What are you doing now? And let's get you back on. Let's talk. But I asked this question to a few of them and I asked them, who are your heroes? And a lot of people are gobsmacked. They don't know what to say. They really don't have heroes.
Hmm.
And I live vicariously through my heroes at times, but it's the old adage, read a biography, read the biographies of the great people. It kind of goes
Yeah.
along that thought process. So I would say for women and men, find somebody that you really would consider a hero. And maybe you don't want a hero, and maybe that word isn't cool right now. But I look up to people like Dan Penna, even though he's kind of tough. I value what he offers. I look at Tony Robbins, who I've known for a very long time and actually went to his house in Fiji, and
Oh,
he's
wow.
so playful. He's such a wonderful person. And just get yourself, proximity is power, and it doesn't cost that much to get around these heroes if you can prioritize it. And because when you get around those people with the highest of standards, it really does help you design your vision and your dreams.
Mhm.
And so I would just say find a hero, find some heroes. I have a picture frame over here with all my heroes, and some of them
Uh-huh.
are fictitious, like
Oh,
Vivian.
yeah.
I've got Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind up there.
Oh,
I've got
sure.
Madonna up there. I've got, Brian Tracy, who is, if I were to pick one that I've lived with most and listened to most, is Brian.
Hmm.
He's going to be 80 or something like that. But, find a hero.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, Rose, that was amazing. It's so awesome to dive into where you've been, what you're doing now, where you're going. It's so cool. I love every time I meet with you, and we even if we have 5 minutes, we just get to catch up and learn more. And I'm glad we're able to take a deeper dive there. And audience, if you're serious about growth, execution, leadership, and actually producing results, go deeper into Rose's work. Read Charge Like a Bull. study bullish on execution, and don't mislead like a lioness, because building revenue is one thing, but building leadership is another level. So you can also subscribe to this podcast. It's on all the platforms. I love it on Spotify. It pops up, tells me there's a new one, but also subscribe to the newsletters. So there are a couple different ones, like we mentioned earlier, but the newsletters are amazing. Always great content. She's very thorough and very on point with those all the time. And if you're bullish in business, where ideas turn into execution and execution turns into legacy. Rose, thanks for letting me interview you today. This was
That was
super
so much
exciting.
fun. What a great
Yeah,
idea. I was so scared last night. I was like, I can't believe they're doing that. I'm doing a flip this. But it turned out to be a lot of fun. Thank you
that's
so
awesome.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
I'm
we'll see
glad we were
y'all
able to do
next
it.
time. Bye.
Bye. Well, that was awesome.